Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Jump Street Podcast, episode 160. We got an awesome episode today. We already had some fun with our guests before we jumped on, so we know it's going to be a good one, and we know you're all waiting here in the live chat for this show to get started. What's going on, Billy?
Not much, man. Chilling out. Stoked for episode 160. Really excited for this one. This is going to be a fun one with Tom. It's going to be cool. He's, a huge figure in rollerblading, can be semi-controversial. So I think we're going to have some fun topics to talk about. And episode 160, that's pretty exciting. We're like 20 episodes away from 180. That would be fun. But I'm going to do the quick spiel real quick. If you don't already, please follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have a Facebook. Please give us a like. We have a YouTube page. You could subscribe and hit the notification bell, leave a comment, share. We all find that very helpful. Gives us a little boost. We have an iTunes. You can listen to us there. If you like what you're listening to, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. And we also have a Patreon. You can be a Patreon for as little as $3 a month. And when you become a Patreon, not only do you have access to exclusive content, you also get to have priority on asking questions to our guests that come on the show. You are also automatically entered to win for a drawing every month that we have for something from our online store. You can get a hat, you can get a sweatshirt, you can get a t-shirt, you can get a mug. So $3 a month, I think that's a pretty good value, and it helps support us. We've been doing this for over 5 years now, and with your support, maybe we'll do it for 10 years if you like what you're seeing. So let's keep it going, and that is my spiel for the day. Trying to keep them under a minute now. Hopefully it's not too painful.
We got to give a shout out real quick. I just saw in the chat, it's Dave Payne's birthday today. He's in the chat right now, enjoying it for his birthday. So everyone run over to Dave Payne Video Group, VG for life. Happy birthday, Dave. Thank you for joining us today. And I want to give a shout out to our new Patreon supporters, Tyrone Kirk, Cat Dad 1989, Razor Skate Co., and Alexander Block. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. And we have a WTF this week, brought to us by Patreon supporter Roel Castillo, featuring a semi-regular on the show, Sasha Sims. And do we have a name for this one or no?
I mean, like, the very simple side of me wants to call it a toe grind, right? But
That could be
I don't know.
It looks stubby, but there is already a stub grind.
Yeah, it's not for me to decide, I don't think. I think since that's like the first one I've ever seen done legitimately. Have you seen one like that done?
I've seen the one. I've actually done
I've seen
one.
stalls like that. I've never
that's
seen
true.
that.
I have seen stalls. I forgot about that. Yeah, I never seen an actual slide on that. I don't get how people slide on these tricks with like the wheels touching, and it just like, it's almost kind of like power slidey because you're sliding on your wheel, but you're also grinding it. I don't know. Double toe stub slide grind by Sasha Sims.
We disagree on that one, but I think we should leave it to Sasha. To figure out. What do you guys think in the chat? Leave your comments. What is this? What are we looking at?
Should there be a rule like when you do a trick, an MBD, like you have to name it before you post it? We should do that so that we could actually mention the names of these things on the show.
Nah, screw rules, man. In this, no rules.
So then we're not just going to call like Souls and Royales anymore. We just call them whatever.
Let it be chaotic, man. Let's make up new names. Let's make up brand new names for everything.
We're kind of on that path already. But before we jump in with our guests real quick, I want to give a shout out and let everybody know about the STP Jam happening in Liverpool at the Rampworks Skate Park on Saturday, May 25th. So if you're watching this live or this week, it's coming up soon. If you're in the UK area, definitely check it out. There's going to be cash prizes, a trade show. Some of the skaters confirmed are Sam Cross, Mary Muno, Julian Cadeau. Our very special guest today might be there, not guaranteeing that. But if you're in the area, definitely check out the SPT Jam at Rampworks in Liverpool, Saturday, May 25th. And if you want more info on it, follow them on Instagram at SPT Jam. And you can have more info there and sign up and register and everything through the Instagram page. So check it out and should be cool. Speaking of events, though, the Blading Cup just happened in Asia, Indonesia.
Yeah. One, I got to say, for that contest you just posted, I didn't know blading had that many companies.
That's true.
That flyer. Oh, my God. Oh, what a huge amount of support. That is incredible. But it's cool to see. It's heartening. Like you mentioned, too, the first Blading Cup in Asia just happened in Indonesia. And looking on, like, it was, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. You weren't able to go, but it just looked amazing. It looked like the people who were there, like, who you would expect. People from Australia, people from like around like the closer Asian countries, people from Japan showed up, Thailand. Warpage ended up winning it, and there were all these like really sick highlights. Like there was this little very young girl, I don't want, maybe 8. Just remember that Topsoul picture going around social media for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool to see. It looked like they had a lot of young kids involved, and it just looked healthy. And to bring something like that to Asian, just to see all like the youth involved, looked really cool. So I just want to give a huge shout out to John Julio, Miguel Camina, Jason Reyna, everyone involved in that. So huge shout out. It looked like a good one. The people who did go, who I spoke to, said it was incredible. So maybe it keeps on going. Maybe it becomes an annual thing. If so, I'd like to end up checking one out one of these days.
Yeah, I feel like the seeds have been planted for that when everyone saw how cool it was. The course itself looked really cool too. I like it was like, like a legit actual like ramp course, and it was just really cool, and people killed it. I think this, like I said, planted the seeds for next year if they do it again, that more people will probably come out now that they see what it's about and how much of a good time it was. So, hell yeah, maybe it'll be on the same level as the regular Blading Cup. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But shout out John Julio, definitely. Yeah, I think we're good to go with our guest. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, by the way, the birthday boy in the chat said that that's the Michael Jackson grind, which is a clever approach to that, the Sasha Sims toe slide.
I like that. I mean, I've definitely seen Elvis pull that move too, even though, we know Elvis is like taking a lot of ideas from a lot of other people. But I've seen that straight up on the 2 toes, knees forward, like,
yeah.
But ow! It
all
could
right,
be cool.
let's get
Leave it to Sasha, but that's fun.
The MJ. All right, let's get it on. Everybody, welcome a very special guest, Mr. Tom Moyse.
All right.
Yes.
How
Tom,
you doing?
Welcome to the show. Good. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. It's been a while that I've been wanting to have you on the show, and I've been a fan of your stuff for a long time. John and I'll go to John's house. We'll watch your stuff. We really enjoy it. I like that you take the position to have a stance on standards and just putting your opinions out there, which sometimes could make you a controversial figure. But I want to get into everything with you, your history as not only yourself, but in skating and your growth through that. I saw recently on Instagram, there was, I think it was Montgomery Monsters, where there was some people that weren't sure if you skated or not. People didn't know if you did skate or if you even skate at all. I know you do because at a couple winter clashes ago, we saw you. I was going with the Mesmer team to the park, and we saw you just at the skate spot by the hotel, and you were just getting at it like 10 in the morning, maybe 11 in the morning with the boys. I think it was after the event, actually. It was after the event.
It was on the Sunday before we were going back home.
Yeah, it was like, which is that in and of itself, to skate street after such a long, exhausting event says a lot. But I already knew you did. But I'm curious to know your history in skating, everything, like what your first video was, what your first influence was, what was your introduction to rollerblading, since you are a confirmed person who skates.
Certified by Billy O'Neill. Thank you for that. So when I was a kid, like me, my sister, my cousin, we were into like everything at the time, because I'm from Jersey in the Channel Islands, which is a tiny little island between the UK and France.
Jersey.
And
Old
so
Jersey.
it's like imagine the Goonies, but an English version of that. That's what my childhood felt like a little bit. And so my dad's a big surfer, so we grew up surfing. That was like the first thing I ever really got into when we were like, that would have been before we could probably even walk. My dad would have just taken us in the water and just like thrown us on a surfboard and thrown us into the waves. So we learned to surf pretty quickly that way. Then I got into like skateboarding, just like everybody had a skateboard at the time. Then I was quite into actual roller skates, like quads, because like a big thing in Jersey was the roller disco. So we'd go there, and they used to do this thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of British Bulldog, the game British Bulldog. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Faces are so confused. So basically, you have one person that stands in the middle. You have like however many other people, like 20 other people, and they've got to get to the other side without the person in the middle tackling them. But they used to do that on roller skates at this disco.
On roller
So you'd be
skates.
flying,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
you'd be flying past this guy and see people getting clotheslined and all sorts. And this was kids. This is what we would look forward to on like a Friday night. British Bulldog on roller skates. And then that
I was
set me
about to
up
say, this sounds like very typical. This sounds very typical, like the English, you know, we got to make something like roller skating just a little more violent.
yeah.
But very,
Hooligan.
very hooliganish. But go ahead.
Yeah, football hooligans on quads was basically what it should have been called. And then my youngest sister and my younger cousin, they got Bauer FX1s. Skating would have just been getting popular. It was probably like 97 or something when they got into it. And I was like, I didn't want to miss out. So I was like, begged my mum for some skates. I couldn't get the Bowers because Amy already had those. So I got some really shit rec skates. And then we used to, like, my cousin must have known about it way before me because he was like sliding on curbs and stuff. And I was just like, what is that? And he was just like, oh, it's called grinding. Like, everybody's into it at school. So we started doing that, like wrecked the skates straight away because they were rec skates. And then the first proper skates I got. So for his birthday, he got Rosie's. I think they were called Rosie's Street at the time. I think they were after the FCO range. Yeah, so he got those. And I got Inliner Vertex, which was like not really a proper brand and stuff like that. But they sort of looked a little bit like Majestics in my eyes. So I got those. And then for his 9th birthday, and I was 14 at the time, we went up to our local skate park because we were like fortunate enough to have a skate park at the time. And then it all started from there, basically. And first video. So I think the first video I'd ever seen, because I'd seen no skating at the time. I'd only seen like what my cousin was doing on a little curb and then what the other lads were doing up at the skate park. That was my like first introduction to it. So it was just like learning on the job, basically. And then, so the first video I actually got was the Rosie's team video. And I think that was actually my cousin's, and he got that free with the skates at the time. And that opened my eyes to what was possible. It was just called Rosie's team video. It was like the one it was called Team Rosie's.
96?
96 or something.
Okay.
But we got it. This jersey's like disconnected from the mainland. We were getting stuff way later than everybody else. So that would have been like, it probably would have just arrived on our shores and we would have got it straight away. So that was like, who was in that? It was like Julio, Dawn Everett. God, everybody, like Sesamora, I'm pretty sure he was in there. Arlo would have been in there.
I feel like Kato was in there too.
Who?
Kato?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
We were just it was a lot of throwbacks.
Yeah, we were just like, shit, this is brilliant. Like, this was what we want to get into for the next, 24 years or something it's coming up to now. And then after that, we had Unity Skate Magazine, so we started to get those. And if you subscribed for a year, you got a free video. So I think I got VG9 Back to Basics. That was like the first like proper like long full length video. Because in that Rosie's one, actually, they used to repeat clips. And even as a kid, I was like, that's bollocks, because I've just seen that clip before, man. They're just trying to fill this video out. And I'm pretty sure some of the clips were from I'm pretty sure some of them were from Hoax 2 or something as well. Like, that was a bit of a rip off. Anyway, yeah, VG9 like changed my life. I loved it. Like at the time, like as soon as I'd finished dinner, VG9 was on. Like anything, as soon as I get up in the morning, have I got enough time to watch VG9 before I go to school and stuff? I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. Like, who's in that one? Like Aaron Feinberg had a section. Maybe that was one of his.
Feinberg got a section. Yep.
Ruben Feinberg was in there. I was like, shit, Aaron Feinberg's good. And he's got a brother who's good. And I would go to my cousin, I was like, that's it, mate. We get good together. That's like a thing in skating. I was just absolutely like elated by it. And then he got VG10. So we would just session for ages, like VG9 and VG10. I swear, like, we probably watched them for about 3 years before we actually got another video. Sorry, I've just been rabbiting on.
No, honestly, like, no, first of all, that's awesome. One thing I noticed quick is that we have a delay still. So,
oh really?
It came back. The delay came back. I don't know how.
There might be. I think Austin, it would serve us to give some space, pause between Tom's answers. But I can completely relate to that. You know, when you get like your whatever first video that's so important, you watch it like 1,000 times over and over and over again. And it's interesting to know that you grew up in Jersey off the coast. Like, I don't know much about, I know about our Jersey, you know what I mean? The Jersey Shore, you know, stuff like that, fist bump and partying. But Jersey, like, I don't know much about it. Like, I know where it is on the map in between France and England in the waterway right there. That's an interesting experience. Did you find like that there were many other rollerbladers there outside of you and your brother?
Cousin. There was
Cousin
at the
sorry.
time, like in like the 90s, there was probably maybe at the most like 20, but that dwindled down pretty quickly. There was like a solid group of maybe like 5 or 6 or something like that. And at the time, the person who was running the skate park, his son was a skater. So it was pretty like rollerblader friendly as well, like the way things were set up and stuff. And actually, the guy who used to run it, so it was Chris Mosedale's dad. You've probably met him actually at Winter Clash and stuff like that. His dad was the person that either designed or like had something to do with like the Puberty logo. Do you know the British brand Puberty? Just the most terrible name. Like rollerblading's got a great history of terrible brand names. Puberty being one of them. But like it was iconic at the time, and I couldn't get enough
Puberty
of it.
is pretty tough. Yeah, puberty is pretty tough. Yeah.
I'm curious what the other really bad names were in your opinion. I have a couple too, but we'll answer that afterwards. Continue your story.
I might have to filter my answers on that one.
Most of them probably aren't around anymore anyway. Unless they are.
Some of them
in your
still
opinion,
around.
I don't know.
Some of them are still around.
Jump Street Podcast, one of them.
That's fine.
What about Supercomputer Robot?
Oh yeah, I don't mind that either, as long as it's not Supercomputer Rollerblading.
Yeah, I like that one.
There was no robot logo though. They missed the ball on that one.
It's still got time.
30 years later. By the way, that new park in Jersey that new park in Jersey that you posted, ridiculous. That's like one of the best parks in the world, it looks like. And that Jersey has that.
Get this for full circle. My cousin, who's like my favorite person in the world to skate with ever, like favorite person in the world ever, probably. Well, after my child and girlfriend and mum and all those people. He was the project manager on that thing. He project managed that whole thing, so that's why it's so good.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, mental. It's mental. Like we were talking the other day, it's like crazy how things have come around for us in rollerblading. Like he's project managed one of the biggest free outdoor skate parks in the UK, and I do this stuff.
Well, we'll get into how you got into this stuff in the first place anyway, because a lot of people are interested in your videos. They're, in my opinion, one of the most entertaining skate videos around, or skating related videos. I don't know if you want to call it a skate video or not. But what made you like decide that you wanted to start a YouTube channel, start talking shit online, and making all these entertaining videos for everybody?
Because I thought all the other ones were shit. No, not really. No. They were just. I just felt like there was just so much missing. Like through every other kind of hobby that people have. Like hopefully nobody's offended that I call this a hobby, but like for any other kind of like sport or like pastime that people are into, there was always so much content on YouTube. But like beyond like I don't know the normal stuff, like beyond like edits and beyond like interviews and stuff. Which interviews are like super key to rollerblading, but it's just like there's just so much more missing. There was a few other channels that I really liked. Like I used to catch a bit of Brandon's, and I used to actually watch a lot of Acosta Blades, because he had loads of like warm up stuff in there and like stretches and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's actually really useful. So I really liked his channel. And who else? There was Butch who used to do the like reviews, and then I used to really enjoy Mushroom Blading's like reaction videos. I absolutely loved that, and I was like, oh, it's a shame that it's not more frequent. And so the first video I ever made was Derek Henderson's pro skate video. I did a reaction to that, but that was just on Instagram. and maybe like, I don't know, 150 people watched it or something. But I was like, oh, like that wasn't too bad. Like maybe I can continue doing this. And there's a guy who runs a brand now called Pomelo. I think he must have seen it, and he was just like, oh, you should continue doing this. You should dive into it. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I did a few more, and then I gave it a break, and that was during COVID. And then when was it? It must have been 2001. I started ramping it up a bit, so I was doing it more often, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I think I could have a yeah, 2021. And then I was like, oh, do you know what? I think I can have a crack at this news thing as well, because I think I can present it differently to other people. I was like, I just felt like there's things they weren't saying, or it was like it was a bit too serious or stuff. So I was like, do you know what? I'll have a crack at that. And then I also started doing the Deals on Wheels videos, where it was like somebody would do a trick, and I'd be like, oh, is it a deal or is it a fail or whatever? And trying to like cut in like silly clips and stuff like that, and that kind of picked up a little bit. And then once I started getting more comfortable with that, I was like, oh, do you know what? I can definitely do bigger pieces, and this like stuff people aren't talking about at all. And like, I think the first one that really got me any kind of attention was the Danny Beer one, where I was reacting to all the negative comments and basically just taking the piss out of people who were moaning about it. And people seemed to really like it. And I was a bit nervous after that, because I was a bit like, I don't want all of my content just to be me mugging off other people. Because that's not the person I am. Like, so I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So, and it all just like, the more I kept doing it, the more I kept like learning and feeling more confident about taking on like bigger videos. And I think it was the greatest comeback in rollerblading about John Bellino coming back. I did that one. That felt like a bit of a bigger one. I'm trying to think of the timeline, because I was still working, and I was rattling these videos out like in my lunch or like after work and stuff like that. So some of them like are fucking awful. Like they're actually dog shit. Like I look back at them, I'm just like, oh my God, like why did anybody watch this? But yeah, they've got better over time. And then I just started a new job, and I was getting like, it was good, but it was just like really high pressure. So I used to basically be a content manager for a company called Quill. And I would like, my clients included people like Nike or like Montclair and like Walgreens, strangely. And what I would do is I would work with them, and we would make like, what's it called? Like editorial briefs with them. And then I would get a load of writers, and I would manage the writers, and I would have to edit as well. But it was like, it was way too much work. So I was like, I'm going to quit this, and I'll give myself a couple of weeks to just do the videos, because I'm really enjoying it, and we'll see how it goes. And I was like, I'll try and look for another job like after 2 weeks. So I started doing that, trying to look for other jobs, and like there just wasn't anything interesting out there. My girlfriend, like, she freelances as well, and she was just like, well, you've got the savings, like why don't you just like give it a crack for a bit and see what happens? And I was like, so yeah, do you know what, why not? Like I'll just crack on with it. And now I'm here, basically. And like the whole goal has just been to try and make content that just doesn't exist. Like I was really excited about doing the like battle videos. So I did one with Sam and Leon where we talked about the trick breakdown, which is basically a rip-off of Thrasher's My War. But I was just like, that would be so interesting for rollerblading. And I'd love to do more of them. Like I'd love to like go away to places, maybe even like get over to America or like places in Europe and like chat to people over there about tricks and that. I don't know, maybe we could do one with you, Billy, or like Austin. Like if there was any that, you know, were a real battle for you, that would be really cool. I mean, you can rob the idea if you want and do it for a Jump Street Patreon. I don't mind. I just want to see that content, basically.
No, I know what you mean, and I'm totally open to that. For me, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like the same for me. I just want to see the content, and I really like the way you go about it. I like the, the humor element that you bring to it. It's very sharp. It's very precise. It's pointed. I like the examples that you use. Like a lot of the editing cuts works out really well. So if I'm not mistaken, are you saying this is what you do right now? This is your full time?
Yeah, I've been doing it. I've been doing it full time for 2.5 years. But in reality, I think I've maybe like made enough money to pay the bills 2 months.
Yeah, but
But like,
are you going on like I don't know because I don't have it, but do you go on? Do you access all the like TikTok as well or no?
I dump stuff on TikTok sometimes, but I don't get paid for any of that, and I don't get paid for like Instagram or anything. So my revenue streams are like YouTube, Patreon. Sometimes if people sponsor my videos, obviously I've got merch. What else is there? I invested, so I actually loaned, Beehive Skate Shop. I'm sure I'm allowed to say this. I loaned them like a chunk of money, so I got a bit of a return on that investment. Yeah, and that's just my revenue streams. And so I just try and make it work with that. And I mean,
Nice.
most of the time it doesn't work, but I don't regret it. I don't know how much longer I can do it for unless I ramp things up. But there's a few extra things I'm going to be taking on as well. So this is sort of an exclusive. So I'm going to start working for Loco Skates. I'm going to start doing like specification reviews and stuff like that. So that'll get me like a little bit of extra money, and like I'll still have like time to try and work on these bigger videos and stuff like that. Because like the bigger videos take me like 40 to 60 hours, probably like a whole week. It'll be like research, writing, editing, like filming, editing, and then doing all the other little bits in between that. So I kind of, if I wasn't doing it full time, I don't think half the videos I've done would even be out there.
Yeah, because you can tell like a lot of the work that you do is it's really well done. You put a lot of thought into it. It's not just thrown together. It's not done lazily. It's
Yeah.
I just watched your latest piece before this episode, and just like everything is so well done. So I think it's really important for people to take that jump. It's really hard and scary and risky to do in blading, but you need to kind of have those people there if you want to have something thriving, and someone needs to take that step. So I really applaud you for doing so. And after this episode, I'm going to jump on the Patreon and become a Patreon myself. I know we are as Jump Street, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But well, I'm going to become a personal. But yeah, I encourage everyone to support that because we need it. And if you like the content, I think you should. That being said, I would like to touch into some of the controversial positions that you've taken, because for me personally, like I think some of the, and stop me if I'm wrong, I feel like you kind of creeped into it like bit by bit, the more controversial things. I think it first started with like tricks that weren't done properly, and then like I think as time went on, you've maybe, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe like got more confidence in being able to feel like you can express these open controversial opinions. I don't know about every controversy. Some, like we spoke about before the episode, like didn't know that was there. Some surprised me. I was even surprised to see Montgomery Monsters upset about things. Like I don't know what led to that. Like I don't know what it was exactly that led to that. But would you care to talk about kind of how you started to get into putting forth those opinions? Because I thought some like the mistrial ones were important. I was like, that's good. Like you need to have someone, because a lot of the time in blading, it could be like a big love fest. Everyone loves everyone and accepts everything, when maybe 20 years ago it wasn't that way. It was more like stricter standards. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily good, but there were just two different dynamics within rollerblading culture, and you see that still existing in some capacity, but maybe some people don't talk about it. You're willing to talk about it. So I'm sorry for my long-winded question, but would you care to talk about how you kind of entered that realm?
Yeah, we can deep dive into everything I've said controversial. Right. So that's what you see in the videos is me naturally, like how I would speak to my friends and how my friends would speak to me, and that's like how we've always grown up. And you take it with a grain of salt. It's like it's endearing. It's like how we show affection for each other. It's like it's always meant to be like light-hearted. Like it's never meant to be. I mean, I don't want to like make people cry or anything
Vicious.
like that, or really, really upset people and stuff like that. It's always meant to be light-hearted, and like with the news, that gave me a chance to like throw a few jokes in there, like things I thought were obvious, or like things that I would chat about in like WhatsApp groups and stuff, like, which I thought was, that's just like, that's fine, that's par for the course, nobody's going to be offended by that. And then a certain skater, I won't reveal his name because he probably doesn't want to be mentioned, but we were just talking about trick violations, and he was like, oh, I think like you're the person to do the video. And I had it in the back of my mind, and I was like, I was concerned though, because I was like, I have to use other people's footage like for this. It was like, how the hell am I going to do this? So I tried to keep it. I tried to make it as like obviously stupid and silly as possible. And like the first thing I did was like, I was like, well, if I'm going to throw everybody else under the bus, I'll put myself in first. So the first trick in trick violations, and this probably goes towards people wondering if I skate or not, the first trick in trick violations is me. Like I'm the first violation. And it's like me, I'm trying to do like some dark side alley top acid, and I totally roll it. So that's the first trick in there. And I was like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to frame it so you basically can't see anybody's faces. You can just see the tricks, make it more about the tricks than it is the person. And yeah, I think it came across pretty good. I was pretty impressed with it. I think only one person got that offended at the time. And then I spoke to them and they understood. They kind of mellowed down, and then, well, they actually went mental at me, if I'm honest. They went mental at me. And then a couple of weeks later, they sent another message, and then sent another message apologising because they got the gist of it. And I know there's definitely a few other skaters who are annoyed, but when they've spoken to me, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. Or somebody has explained like my sense of humour to them and been like, he doesn't mean anything by it at all. Like he's not trying to like, I don't know, he's not trying to make you quit skating or anything like that, and etc. But yeah, and that went down quite well. And then I don't know, I just give my opinions because it would be boring otherwise. Like, what's the point of me doing it if I don't give you my opinions on things? And I think like if I do have any like critical opinion, I like to think that I base it on some sort of, not so much evidence, but some sort of reason. Like I don't just go, that guy's shit or this product's crap. I go, oh, this is the reason or that's the reason. And then, throw a joke up there so it smooths it over a little bit. And like some people get offended, which is a shame because that's not really my intention. And some people get it. It's like when I made a big thing. It was almost like a comedy routine about USD's not pro. No, what was it? Unpro. That unpro marketing thing they did. So I made a fair few jokes about that. And then when I bumped into Matthias, he absolutely loved it. He thought it was really funny. He was like, that's amazing. Like, I think he actually said it wasn't his idea and he didn't like it anyway. So he was loving that, took the piss out of it. But like, that's what I want. Like that's that kind of what I hope happens basically. And there's a few other skaters that have been like, yeah, we love it. Like, I think it's really funny that you are the way you are. Was there any specific ones you want me to address?
I think well, no, I think it's really good. Like, and I think it's cool that it's, like you said, like unbiased in terms of like the individual and more focused around like the idea of whatever it's going after, whether it be the trick, kind of leaving it open to everyone, because I think, I think almost everyone in blading you can find some sort of violation on. Some are much, much, much harder than others that do a very diligent job. Like, it'd be hard to find something of Alex Broskow maybe, but he has earlier footage you could go, I think everyone has something, because especially people who have spent a lot of time in front of the camera. But yeah, I think it's important for someone to take that stance, because a lot of the time in blading, it's like, because we have such a small community, it's like such a love fest. And I'm not sure if like the love fest model really pushes the growth of the industry. Like, for example, maybe like in the 90s or like the early 2000s and late 90s, it was like very competitive, and it was also like weirdly so. Just to bring this up, like it was like right around when like Tupac and Biggie had their thing going on, and like people on the West Coast blading, people like somehow that was dragged into blading, but like in a friendly way. Like we weren't gonna like no one's gonna hurt each other, but it was always like, oh yeah, like New York versus California. Like Rawlinson is a sellout. He went to the West Coast. Like it was like things like that, and I feel like that competitive nature, or like maybe even that like lighthearted critical nature, did things to like help push like the spirit of rollerblading to be like, oh, I want to be better. I want to kind of check those boxes and mark those things off. So in my opinion, I don't see it as a harmful thing. I see it as a good thing. And, you know, but I think sometimes when you have that, taking the position to be truthful and honest and film it and put it on the internet, you're going to find pushback.
Oh yeah, of course. I definitely don't expect to put videos out and say all the stuff I'm saying and everybody just go, bravo mate, you're bang on. I expect people to go, who is this fucking clown? Like, where's his edit? But like, it's how you. Sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say, have you tried to like shut up the haters? Are you gonna like film something to shut people up, or like any kind of rebuttal or anything?
No, they can suck it. They can wait. No, yeah, that the whole reason why I put myself first in the video was to say that like I don't care if you take the piss out of my tricks, because I miss stuff all the time as well, and that was to set a very clear tone and a very clear intention of what was meant to, like, what the video was meant to be about. It's like I'm not gonna like go up to a kid in real life and be like, what are you doing, you mug? Like, look at the gap between like your 2 feet. There's ways to do it. And like, that's why I made that video like super lighthearted, right. Because, you know, and that's why I tried to crop people's faces out of it so they didn't get like wound up and stuff like that. But yeah, it is, and I think it is important. Like, rollerblading means different things to different people. Obviously, there's people who just do want to muck around and like do whatever, and like that's great. Like, rollerblading needs people like that. But rollerblading also has a competitive side. It's like we can't be like IMYTA is like banging and amazing, but then be like, oh yeah, you can do these tricks however you want because it doesn't matter. It's like, well, hold on, there's a confusing message here. It's like, you have a competitive side. Let's celebrate that. And like, yeah, it's like, it's not so much that there's rules. It's just guidance on how to like make a trick look good. And we've all agreed that like a top side should be flat and not rolling on your wheels. And that's like, that's it. Like, you've just got to do it flat. Otherwise, it's a different trick. Just call it something else if you really want to. But like, I think it's important to have like those standards, because then how do you know who's doing well? Or like, say if a kid's like, I want to get good at rollerblading, how does he know he's getting good if there's no standards? Like, where's his measure? He was like, oh, I've been doing this for a year now, like, am I pro yet? I'm like, no, here's a little guidance of what you should be doing to get to that level. I know I've probably explained that in the most like dumbass way, but I think you get what I mean.
No, I think it's really good. I think and I agree. Like, if tricks have names, then by definition there's a standard there, because there's a name that defines what it is, and to have a standard of what that is important, and have distinctions between that, and have a distinction between something that could be maybe rolling or something that's different than the original idea of the trick. And that, I think there's space for that, like you're talking about. But I agree that having those standards is important, or at least like having an idea to like maybe give a guide to some people who what makes good skating, what makes style. Like, do you know what I mean? And maybe people are trying to find it and they're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not getting in that? And you point to those things, and they can kind of maybe in sometimes a way have an uncomfortable reflection, or some way just have like a lighthearted reflection of, okay, this is okay, where I could want to make improvements. And it's good to know where you want to make improvements. So I think it's important to have someone that takes that position. That being said, I feel like it's an uncomfortable position to take at times, you know, especially with like, I don't, to be honest, find your stuff particularly controversial, but you know, again, like
a lot of it's more agreeable than controversial. I think that's
I agree with a lot of I agree with a lot of this stuff that you're saying. But I know that, like I said, some beefs have popped off, and so I guess this is a two-part question. What I saw you at Winter Clash 2 years ago. On this year, you weren't there, and
Yeah.
it wasn't me, but some people were speculating, oh, Tom has like beef around, so he's not really going to be coming out. I was like, really? So one, that's something I wasn't aware of. But do you feel sometimes because of these? Well, are the beefs getting more pointed at you? Is it getting more direct? Like some of these controversial things that you're saying, is it getting more? Are people taking it more personally with you directly? And two, do you ever have trepidations going to like an event because of maybe some of those reasons?
So the reason why I wasn't at Winter Clash is because me and my partner were about to have our first child, and I couldn't really justify being surrounded by drunk 40-year-olds screaming in my face. But yeah, no, people
Fair
don't
enough.
people like hate me. And I mean, I could go through the list of insane shit people have said to me. Like, one guy said it'd be cool for me to break my neck. One guy, I've been accused of being, what was it? Oh, I've been accused of fat shaming as well. That was, I don't know where that one came from. What was the other ones? Oh yeah, so a certain a certain known character in rollerblading threatened to come and do me in. He threatened to, I don't know where he lives in America, but he threatened to get on a plane, find out where he lives. Apparently he knows where I live, and he was going to do me in because that started because I made a video about Jay Yoon, just saying Jay Yoon was amazing, and then this guy didn't like that I'd built a platform for him, and he was like, what I say doesn't mean anything. And I was just like, anybody can have an opinion, mate. You can have an opinion. I can have an opinion. It's just like what you put the value in. And he lost it. He was like, nah, you've said too much, mate. I'm going to come and batter you. It's like, what? But I just can't I can't even imagine like booking a flight and being raging. Like he would have had to keep up that rage. Like at some point he would have calmed down, probably mid-Atlantic, and been like, fucking hell, I've just spent £400 going back to this kid because he made a video about Jay Yoon. Like, what am I doing with my life? And I was trying to communicate that to him as quickly as possible. I was like, it's not worth it, mate. Why would you? Imagine like battering me and going to jail and sitting in that cell and being like, yeah, that was worth it. Come off it. Like somebody goes to you, why are you in here? Oh, because I knocked out this rollerblade YouTuber. That's how I feel about it.
It's like that'd be a weird episode of Locked Up Abroad. That would also be a huge, quite a mission to go. Prove a point. Wow, that's. And you said that came from a video of you
talking about Jay
good
Yoon.
About Jay Yoon.
Yeah, I was speaking really positive about him. I was saying like he's the future of park skating. Can you imagine?
How does that come off bad in anybody's eyes?
Don't know. You tell me. But I think it was more so the fact that like I'd built this platform and he just didn't like that I was giving my opinion, and I do quite often give my opinion. Seriously though, can you imagine walking through airport security, like steam coming off your head, like, well, I'm going to go and do this kid in. And I'm just looking at you like, where, this guy, no, he's not coming through. What's up with him? Mental. But like, that stuff is it is serious though. Like, I'd laugh about it, but the guy would have battered me. He would have ripped my arms off like a gorilla.
Yeah, I mean, I could picture personally. I could picture keeping the rage up for like an hour or two myself. Like, you know, like if you lived in our Jersey and I was still like in New York, and I could probably like find the rage for like an hour or two. But that's a long. We got the check-in, you know, we got you got to go through security. You got the standing in line. You got the flight. and then you got to get the baggage, right? Assuming, right, and then you got to take the taxi. That's a long way.
Imagine asking for a drink on the plane, fuming, pissed off at the flight attendant for no reason.
Just stand like, yeah, give me a drink, man. Mental.
But that's what I love about. Yeah, it's what I love about like this type of content, because for years and years and decades, skating content was just skate videos and that was it. It was like you have to skate to produce content or entertainment in the skating world. But now there's other platforms and other channels like yours and ours and a bunch of others out there that are very similar, to where you don't have to necessarily skate to put out entertaining skating content. You know, it takes forever for someone to make a section. It could take months or years to make a section, where we could put out entertaining content that's just as entertaining as the skating content, just in a different way. And we could do this multiple times a month, and it's awesome. And it's like nothing wrong with people voicing their opinions. It's, I guess, the same as people just not liking somebody's skating and they're gonna talk shit on your skating if you put out an edit, but it's just like a different way of saying it, I guess, you know?
Yeah, like you've got to have like a variety of content, just like you have like a variety of skating. Like you've got the people that do the hammers and we need them. You've got the people who are more tech and we need them. And you've got the people who are more creative and we need them. And then you've got everybody in between, and you need all of it to make that picture. Like one thing's just not going to work, as we've seen. Like historically, that didn't work for us really. Like lots of stuff got overshadowed in probably like the 2000s and stuff. But you know, we need it all. And like it works the same for the content. It's like when you watch, if you think about football, it's like why do the majority of people that support football aren't even playing football, but they'll go to the game, they'll watch people review it. There's loads of football YouTubers who will like report on the game, and that none of them have been professionals before. They're just giving their opinion and it works. So we need it all.
Yeah, that's one thing I always said about a lot of other sports like football, basketball, baseball. So many people base their lives around these sports as entertainment and have like never thrown a football, kicked a football, played baseball, basketball, anything like that. They just get drunk at the bar and watch it. And like skating was the opposite, in my opinion, because pretty much everybody who watches skate entertainment, even like with these channels, everybody skates or has skated or something involved in actually skating. It's such like a different take on our sport compared to other sports.
Yeah, and it's who's going to be the best at these things as well. Like the person who dedicates 40 hours a week to skating is probably going to be the best at skating. They're not probably going to be the best at making videos like I do. If I spend 40 hours a week making these videos, I'll probably start to get better, and I might get to the point where I'm really good at it. If like somebody spends, I don't know, 40 hours a week doing whatever other side of rollerblading exists, they'll get good at it. Like it's going to be highly unlikely you're going to find somebody who is like the best at everything. It's like the best videographers, although there is some unbelievably good videographers, like skating wise, like a Van or Don West or like Sizemore. They're all unreal skaters and unreal videographers, but that's pretty rare. So like the best videographer is going to be the person that on the session spends their time behind the camera. And that's what you need. You need people like dedicated to each area of it for it to work.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think it's important too, especially in the content front, because on so many aspects of like the inline skating front have been covered in so many ways, but it's really about the representation and like the way it's portrayed, especially now in the dominant landscape of where people can get their media, which is, you know, Instagram, YouTube. It's, you know, used to be Daily Bread growing up and used to be the VHS videos. And now this is where people may like get the majority of their content. You know, they're on YouTube, they're going through reels, they're doing all these things that, again, like I wish there was more on TikTok for blading, but it seems like that's a whole nother thing in general. But it's been cool to see your stuff grow. I'm curious, when you had some of the criticisms of people saying you weren't a skater, did you have any motivation to be like, or I'm going to film a part, or did you have any like motivation to any of the criticisms that you have from your content to like, hey, I'm going to respond in this way? Did you have any of that motivation?
The skating thing, no, because I just don't care, because I don't think it makes a difference really about the validity of my opinion, because I'm not going out there going like this person is terrible technically at this grind. Although I think you could look at a grind and be like, this is how, like an outsider, you could teach an outsider what a good top acid looks like. And you'd be like, this foot has to be like this foot has to be like that. So then they can critique, or they can decide what looks good and what doesn't. I've lost my train of thought now. What was the question again?
No, just like, well, again, it was like another two-part. Like, one, did you feel like when you were getting critiques that you weren't a skater, that you felt like you had to film a part to like prove yourself, or in general, do you feel like you have to respond to the criticism that's aimed directly at you?
No, I don't feel like I have to put anything out skating wise, because my strength lies in making these videos. My strength doesn't lie in being a skater, because if that was the way, I would be on a team or something like that. So I am more value to rollerblading, making videos, than I am showing you my skating. Like, I feel like some people build their channels because they're like desperately seeking validation for their skating. And then all of a sudden, like, they'll build the channel and all of a sudden their skating's on it. And you're like, hang about, what's going on here? But that was never the point of my channel. The point of my channel was to like celebrate rollerblading, all the people who are good, and like build the channel so I can give a platform to other people when I'm talking about them, or like dive into the culture, dive into the history, like, and then give light-hearted takes and stuff like that. That was the whole point of the channel. So when people say like, where's your skating? I'm just like, I'm just not that bothered. I mean, you can find my skating on Instagram anyway. And the funniest things, I get these comments on Instagram and on YouTube, and I'm just like, you're in the place where my skating is. Just try a little bit harder and you might find it. And then feel free to critique it. And then addressing certain critiques, I think sometimes it depends what people say. If, like, normally when people slag me off, my brain straight away goes to like funny stuff I could say back, and then I have to decide whether it's worth it or not. Like, because I don't want to like my channel to turn into like beef. Like, I don't want to turn it into like a Kendrick.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn it into a Kendrick and Drake situation, like where videos are going back and forth all the time. All I'm talking about is some other person. Because I don't know. I just don't really care.
But you forecasted that happening this year, possibly. You're not trying to join in the festivities?
Beef is in. But competitive beef. Well, I guess my competitive beef would be like, I don't know, get more views on a video than I have. And that would be good, because it just means rollerblading gets more views. Like, make a video better than my last video or whatever. And then be like, oh, I got more views than you. That'd shut me up.
What about your like friendlier beef with some of the other content creators in rollerblading? There's only a few, but I've seen some friendly back and forth between you and a couple.
I don't. I'm wondering how I can word this. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not bothered about addressing it anymore. Like, it was fun for a while and then it got boring. Basically. I have some personal feelings about certain people.
Was it organic or was it real?
Oh, it was the back and forth were real between whoever we're referring to here, who I think we are. I can't be bothered to say his name because I don't think he deserves the attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were real, and I feel a certain way about him. And if we're talking about who we think we are, he's lied about me a few times, so I'm just like, I'm kind of done with it now. I'm not bothered.
Okay. See, I gotta say, from the outside looking in, it seemed like a friendly, chummy ribbing at times. So it didn't. It didn't. For me, it didn't feel real in any way. I was like, oh, they're just like ribbing each other. But okay, interesting.
I'm lost on who this is now. I didn't think anything was that serious. I thought everything was a joke.
Oh no, like it was at first. It was definitely jokey, but I'm just not bothered now. And like, if you're gonna have to lie about me to make points,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, it's lame. Like, and the thing is, when people make jokes about me, I don't know. They're never actually that funny. If they were funny, I'd be loving it. I'd be like, oh yeah, crack on, let's go. But like, I just don't feel like they are sometimes. And then I just got bored of it.
Where do you see it moving forward? Do you feel like discouraged at any time from have you been overly discouraged or worried by some of the pushback or criticism toward you? Has there ever been a moment where you're like, wow, this has gone too far, maybe I should slow down?
Not really. There's been times where I will speak to people whose like opinion I trust, who won't always like have the same opinion as me, and I'll just be like, what do you think about this situation? Like, do you think like that was too far, or was I in the wrong, or anything like that? And it always comes back to like, no, it's fine. It's like other people at times will just be offended as long as you stick to your like intentions. And like from my previous job, when we were writing these like editorial briefs, like you would have these intentions that you would lay out, and I always stick to that. Like tone of voice principles, I always try and stick to like those things I've got in my mind. I always want it to be lighthearted. I don't really want to go after people. Obviously, there's times where like there's situations where things happen where, I do give an opinion and it might be quite harsh. Things like the adapt situation, like, yeah, I definitely, my side on that was very obvious, but I thought that was like an appropriate time to do it. So it's trying to find those appropriate times. And like, of course, like jokes can go too far, but I don't think I ever have. Like people can give me examples if they want and we can talk it out. But I don't think I have. But it's not put me off. Like sometimes, like when you put in, it's more so saying like I put in 40 hours to make a video, I loads of research, like I probably grind away for it. I put it up and it'll only get a certain amount of views, like because rollerblading has a cap on it anyway. And that's more demotivating than anything, because I think, oh my God, like I'm giving it my all. I think this video is as good as like that one that got 100,000 views, and like it just doesn't resonate with people. That's more off-putting than anything.
Yeah, that's like, I feel like a lot of creators have that too, where you think, oh, this is gonna hit, this is gonna be like the one, and it's like the least favorite one, and you're like, oh, this is like my personal favorite right here, my best. I put so much more work into this one and no one like appreciates it. But that's kind of part of the game. And also part of the game is like when you put yourself out there like you do, or like we do, or anybody else, pretty much everyone puts themselves out there now because it's social media. Like you have to expect some sort of backlash and criticism and critique, because no one's going to agree with you. That's just the world we live in now. It's part of what we deal with, and you have to expect that. But as long as you have like thick enough skin to deal with that, like it should be fine.
Yeah. Growing up ginger, you get a fair bit of stick. Obviously, I mean, not as much as some people, but like you get a bit. But yeah, like what I find most funny is when people come to me and go, "Oh, you can't be surprised you got slagged off," and I was like, "I'm not," but I don't think I act like I'm surprised either. I kind of know it's going to come, and you just have to. If I'm going to dish it out, I've got to be able to take it the same way that those people I'm dishing it out to take it. Like you just got to be like, yeah, whatever. Like, am I really going to let somebody stop me doing what I'm really passionate about? That, I don't know, like the videos work. They have some sort of value in rollerblading. People can decide what it is, but I think they're good. I think they make a difference. People have told me they make a difference, so I'm going to continue. And it's things like when I made the video, Future Stars of Rollerblading, and all the like parents messaged me afterwards and were like, "Thank you so much." Like the whole family sat down and watched it. The kids were absolutely like elated. They absolutely loved being on your show. They've seen it. They couldn't believe they were included in it. And it's like, it's stuff like that that makes me think, oh yeah, like I can just focus like on that kind of feedback. Like somebody giving me hate for something, that doesn't matter. Like that gets outweighed by like the positive like feedback that I get. And there's a lot of people out there that do get the jokes, do get that it's just like, it is just lighthearted. Like I'm sure I've made a few jokes about Eugen, and like me and him get on. Like we're not like best mates or anything like that. But he made me one of those patches the other day, and I think if he hated me, he wouldn't have done that. And then even I made a joke about Sigona. Well, it was like a really light-hearted joke that he skated like a praying mantis, and then he turned that into a T-shirt. That's the way you should take it. Like, that's what you should do with it. Like, run with it.
No, I think that's important, and you know, it shows a good character if you can take a joke about yourself and have it not be too impactful on you. One of the things I really no, I'm sorry, we stopped the delay. Go ahead.
All those people that I have made a joke about, I also give them their flowers when they do something good. Like, you know, I'll joke about something, but if they put out a good edit or they do a good trick, I'll mention it and I'll talk about it, and that's me like promoting them and their brand and whoever they represent. So it'd be if anybody ever catches me slagging somebody off and then never giving them props for something they've done that's good, yeah, call me out for that, and I'll change my tune.
That's good that you make a point of that. Like, I feel like that's important if you're going to kind of make what I believe is a lighthearted and fine joke. If you find something in my shit, there's a bunch out there that I'm sure there's some things you could slag off. I would find that very funny, and I'd actually be honored if you did that. But you know, I think it's cool to have that. But I noticed, like, you know, when you came onto this content, that you were kind of like filling in a hole for something that wasn't there. When we were starting Jump Street, we kind of had a similar conversation, and obviously we do two different fields. I find us to be like very news formatty, and you're like very fun content style. Like, but I think you get inspired to do things because you see a hole in the industry of something that's missing. In the content space at the moment, do you see any other holes like that? If there was an extra version of you, if you had more time, something you would tackle, or something you could, like, maybe young content creators who are ambitious and wanting to be a part of this, where they could fill something in? Because for me, like one specific one is, we don't have I don't have TikTok, but I know Blading doesn't have a big presence on TikTok, you know, so that would be something I would love to see someone just take and do really well and just make like a presence there. But do you see anything like that?
Yeah, kind of. There's still loads of ideas on my notepad of things that I want to do and want to get involved with. And another one of these videos is going to come up soon, and it's tailored towards a specific brand. And I don't want to talk about it too much because it gives away the game. But like, I really want to make a much bigger video out of it, and it would be like the biggest video I've ever made. But yeah, I feel like you say TikTok as well. Like, TikTok is like, it's the one where like all the youth are at. And like, whenever I speak to anybody else, like my girlfriend who works in kind of that kind of industry, and those people I know, like I know people who make really good livings from TikTok. So it's insane, but I think it's gonna take somebody younger. And like, originally when I started doing these videos, I thought after a while I was like, somebody younger who's way better at presenting, way better editing, is way funnier, is going to see my ideas and take them and run with it. And I was kind of waiting and hoping that would happen, because like, we do need more humor, more opinionated people, more lifestyle stuff, like the battle stuff, like hanging out with a skater for a day and have it properly thought out. Don't just like meet up with a skater and wing it. Get some sort of thing in. And those are the videos that I'd love to move more into, the more like lifestyle ones, hanging out with a skater, getting that B-roll side of things. Like what Jumbo is doing is good. And I was harping on about that kind of stuff for ages. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of a YouTube channel called Stora, which is like the parkour ones. And they're obviously massive anyway, but they get like millions of views all the time. And like, I think rollerblading could still like do something like that. Use them as an example. They have kind of, it's more of a formatted episode, so it's not completely like natural. So it loses maybe slight authenticity, but I'm sure you can find a way of presenting that so it looks authentic, like giving yourself kind of little challenges and fun stuff like that. Not along the lines of like Braille, which I find a bit cheesy and stuff like that. But yeah, I still think there's lots of room for all different ideas, and like, we should just look to what exists already and just rip it off. Like, Why not? Like, it exists outside of our realm. Why don't we just bring it into our realm and do our version of it? But I understand that it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and in rollerblading, you're not always going to get the reward that you probably deserve or think you deserve. But hopefully, there are people that go, do you know what? I'm just going to take a risk in it. Hopefully, it's somebody young who's got that time who can dive into these things.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised there hasn't been like a younger skater doing this by now, because the youth in skating and generally, I feel like is growing. I feel like it's
Mm.
natural for younger people to be doing these things. The big on TikTok, big on Instagram Reels and stuff like that. I'm surprised, honestly, that there hasn't been people doing that already, unless there are, and I just don't see it because my feed is
Yeah.
full of boomer shit, I guess. But yeah, I'm like honestly surprised about that too.
Yeah, and they're going to be way better than us, aren't they? Because they're going to actually know what's going on, what's actually cool,
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
like, us elderly gentlemen talking about things.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a concern about like the future of blading, and maybe we could touch on that. But you'll see some little kids here and there. Like I was heartened to see so many in Asia, but a lot of the time the young kids out here, I feel like often they have to skate with like a lot of older guys. There are very few kids
Mhm.
their age that are skating. So you see like some of the younger guys hanging out with older guys. They might get teased in school for that, and they might not have like the same sense of pride and ambition that maybe generations ago had for blading when it was like kind of fighting the good fight. Maybe I think it might feel different for the younger generations. Do you see any way around that personally? Because me, like I look at things and I always love blading. I feel heartened with it, but I just know, like, in the 90s, we were like competing against skateboarding and BMX and these things, which is already hard enough. And now we're competing against like iPads and Fortnite and all these other like super interactive gaming, TikTok and things like that. And even like, I've seen like the skateboarding industry is actually having a tough time as well. BMX has been on the ropes for several years now. Blading, I feel like it's been a consistent struggle in blading for years. Like there was a nice boost during COVID, but what do you see in terms of like the future? And if it is negative, feel free to say it. I'm not trying to have you sugarcoat anything, but what do you see for the future of blading that lies ahead, or at least the potential, if you want to speculate on what could be?
Mm. I think one of the positives is that, like you were saying, there's all these other options for kids. So the fact that any kid is getting into rollerblading, we've got to take as some sort of positive. Like something's happening there, that they're still choosing rollerblading over all of these other options that they've got. Like shout out to Kev in South Korea, who is like I don't know, he's got like a squadron of unbelievably like amazing young skaters like that.
Yeah.
The girl who did that Unreal Topsoul is like 6 years old, skater Chloe, and then you got Soa, who is like
Wow.
one of the most stylish skaters about at the moment, and I forget how old she is. I think she's like 10 or 11. So I think, you know getting as much publicity to them as we can is going to be good, because if young kids see those, especially girls, that's like a market that's totally underdeveloped in rollerblading. Like looking at my who watches my videos, it's like less than 10% or something are females. So there's this huge market that you can go after, and I don't know. I don't think I have the answers. I think it's all about being authentic and just trying to, like, I'm always banging on about it, content, just all sorts of different content, the lifestyle. Don't just show like the best skaters in the world. Like edits are really important, but it can't just be that. Interviews like this, like getting to know the stories, talking about skate lore. Maybe it doesn't have to be like big interviews. Maybe it can just be like one story where you guys go and meet up with somebody local and just like film like something that happened on one day, or like you even just do like a tour of your local neighborhood and be like, oh, like this was in this video and like this is a trick I did, or stuff like that. Just more content, but quality over quantity. Like just take the time to think about what you're doing and it will have more of an impact. Like I think soon we're going to get to a point where like stuff like Jumbo or What's Brewing will start to match the views of like really good skate edits. And I think people shouldn't be afraid to get into that. Like, I know I can understand certain skaters don't want to show that side of them. Like, I guess they feel a little bit almost vulnerable, like, you know, talking to the camera, because that's not what they're known for. They're known for like being unreal skaters. So maybe they're not so comfortable in front of cameras, but it's trying to break down that wall and make it seem authentic. And I think skating has a future. I think we can get it to a point where, you know, we can sustain it. It doesn't have to be massive, but we have to be aware that, like, you know, where we're putting our money and what brands we're supporting is really important. And then that it'll grow from there. If we support the people who are like really putting their effort in, recognize that, like, you know, YouTubers are spending like loads of time making this, and give them a bit of money. Just think about it like, I don't know, like a coffee. Or imagine it if I was trying to sell my Patreon. Imagine it like it's a magazine that you're paying for every month, but what you're getting is like, you're getting exclusive videos, but you're also supporting the videos that are out there. Like, people are always like, yeah, because I did a poll recently and it was like, how much would you pay for a mag? And it was like, I don't know, I think people were saying $10 or $15 and stuff. And it was like, well, surely then you would pay that for somebody's Patreon to keep these videos on like YouTube and stuff like that, which reaches, like, if you get one that hits, it reaches outside as well. Like, I get a lot of skateboarders commenting on mine. I get BMXers. Like, there's this pro scooter rider called Juzzy Carter. He follows me. Ricky Glazer is like quite big in skateboarding. He follows me. I mean, I think I pissed off a few of them with certain comments that they took the wrong way, but otherwise, quite a lot of them do watch my stuff. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the lore of skating that appeals to all sorts of people. And I get a lot of comments of people saying, like, you know, my girlfriend or my wife watched the video and she thought it was funny. So, like, you know, bringing in that lightheartedness as well.
No, that's super important. And I really like, first of all, huge shout out Juzzy. Juzzy is awesome. He's had a couple of clips lately that are just unbelievable. And he's such a cool dude, and he'll be around here, and like we'll skate with him sometimes, and he's just like really nice guy. But I think that's important too for people to get like a sense of, I think because they're so detached from blading as like the individuals and like their personalities, that to have like some normal sense of people to like hear something that just sounds like very common, it like makes it more relatable. And I think that's true with like some of like the bigger skaters, like who it would be cool to have, and that could cross over well. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Just like seeing that they're actual people, seeing like their whole personality isn't defined by their skating, their edit. Like, that's gonna be more relatable. And I know, like, I harp on about this a bit, but like, if you name a brand like Blade whatever, you're just crushing your like potential to go outside of that market. And that's what we need to do. I'm not saying like we need to get rid of all the skating in our edits. Stay authentic to yourself and stuff like that, but just like be a normal person as well, because you are, and people might relate to that.
Yeah.
And I hope that's how I convey myself in the videos as well, that like, that the videos are me just being me. It's not me trying to pander to any kind of audience or anything like that. It's like, I mean, a lot of the jokes are probably go over a lot of people's head because there'll be British references, or there's stuff in my videos that will be references that only like me and my cousin will probably get. But I don't want to get rid of that, because that's a part of who I am.
Yeah, I think that's super important to have that side, and just to like show the personality of the person, especially in rollerblading, because there's a detachment. I remember like in years, like when I was younger, in my 20s, I was involved in blading, but I was doing other things too. I was like playing music. I was like working at like clubs and kind of in the mix in New York City. And would meet people, and I'd be like, yeah, I do this, whatever. I was like, I'm a roller. They'd be like, you blade, because there's such an idea of it. Because I don't think like the bladers really have had the opportunity, or maybe a platform, or maybe even the confidence to like go out there, speak who they are, and be like felt as regular, normal people. And you see that content in like a lot of other fields that are similar to ours, where you get a real sense for the person is. And I think if you really, maybe admire a person's approach to skating or like the tricks that they do, you want to get a sense of who they are when they're not skating. You want to get a sense of what they do. You want to get a sense of getting to know them more. I think John Bellino is like really relatable in a lot of those ways, because he's like, yeah, dude, like, I play guitar and I do all this other stuff. And people who like, oh, cool. Like there's other interests. And I feel like those other interests like leak into like the style of the skating and the personality more. So I agree. I think that would be a good path to go down.
Yeah. And I think like, if you're out making an edit, like the next Mesmer edit or whatever, and it depends how comfortable people are, like film all the bits in between, like release the edit, and then after that release another video which is like you between the spots. Maybe it's like showing a few of the goes, but like try to, and it is uncomfortable for some people, try to like talk to the camera as well what's going on, or like, but I imagine for a lot of people it will be, once you get those first videos out of the way, it will become quite natural. Like you'll forget the camera's kind of there and you will just talk to each other, and like, it'll get to the point where you're having to edit things out because you're too comfortable in front of the camera and you're slagging loads of people off. But it's better to be in that position and have all this footage that you can use and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just an idea. But yeah. I know it's easy for me to say that.
I like it. I like the idea. No, I like the idea, and I think that for me, in my opinion, and I can't do this in all ways because, I'm just getting older and in a different position. And, but I think it's important for skaters who are creating content to have the courage to take risks, like, and that risk sometimes could just be honesty, or saying how you really feel, which is a risk in life, or it could be the risk of just trying something that hasn't been done yet in rollerblading, something that you've seen like in other fields that you're like, oh, that really hits me, whether it's like some comedy platform, like some, whatever version of how something is done, and bringing that, trying to apply it to rollerblading and putting yourself out there like that. I think that's super cool. So I agree with that. I got to ask, for you, do you see anything? And in a bit, we're going to open it up. I'm sure we have some questions from the Patreon, I'm hoping. And even though we lost our live feed, we do have a few questions here that still stand. But I got to ask, what do you have any plans? You mentioned something like working on a bigger project or longer project. I would love to see something like that from you. But what are your plans like the next year or two? What do you see on the horizon, if you could share anything like that with us?
So I am trying my best to keep myself doing this full time. If I'm going to be really honest, like my fear is that if I have to get even a part-time job, I'm just not going to have the time to produce the content that frequently. Like as an example, it's like a regular person, like how often do they skate? So I need probably about 40 hours to make the videos that I think are of value and of impact. It's like, as a regular skater, anybody out there who's a regular skater, like, do you get 40 hours skating in a month? And I was like, because I'll have to do it in my spare time and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit scared about that. So I'm trying all these other avenues to try and keep me in there. Like, so working with Loco, this other stuff I'm going to be doing tailored towards this brand, who I won't mention just because I'll keep it a surprise. I'm just trying to find a way to make this work. Basically, I think it's kind of make or break time a little bit. I'm going to give it my all. I've spent a lot of my savings and stuff doing this, but I don't regret it at all because, I've made this content that I am really proud of, and like I've had some like amazing feedback, and I've definitely learned something. Like I hadn't done any video editing before. Basically, I'd done like one module in university, and I've somehow got to a point where people think my stuff is good, and like other YouTubers, bigger YouTubers have come to me and have seen my stuff and been like, you could go outside of rollerblading. And that's an option for me as well. Like, maybe every so often I do a video that's slightly broader outside of rollerblading, just so I can keep the channel alive. But then my focus will still be on the rollerblading, or maybe if I do more videos outside of rollerblading and I only do like one rollerblading video a month or something, maybe then I'll have another channel where I do like streaming, because streaming would be a lot easier for me just to sit there and chat to people. So there's still that avenue to get my opinions on rollerblading if people still want to hear my opinions, which I'm surprised it's lasted this long, if I'm honest. Yeah, I'm just doing my best to keep myself in there. So if you can support me, that'd be amazing. Even if I can just get it to a point where I actually just cover my rent each month and I've got a little bit to buy some nappies for my newborn, I'd probably stick it out like another year, and hopefully I can just keep building on that and keep the momentum going, and get to a point where it's sustainable. I'd absolutely love that. Like, it'd be amazing. And I don't need a lot of money. I don't really buy much stuff. I mean, I've been wearing this hat probably every day for about the last 9 months.
I mean, okay. Well, a couple of things to that. One, for rollerblading and not. Sorry. Sorry, we still have the delay here, so my apologies on that. But a couple things. One, I would love to see you, for rollerblading, comment on cultural issues outside of rollerblading. I noticed on the last video you touched on like Kendrick and Drake, and I just like it's the obvious things, talking about the elephant in the room of things that are happening in culture that everyone knows. Me, I'm getting a little older, so I don't really know what's going on with Kendrick and Drake. But to see you talking about like this stuff and being like, all right, I think that's cool for rollerblading as well. But I think it would be cool to see you go like outside of blading and just do your own thing, because I think you have the talent for it, honestly. So it would be really cool to see. That being said, I'm going to do a quick little sales pitch for you, and maybe for us indirectly, to be a supporter of Patreon. Look, it goes a long way to be a supporter, as someone who goes out and every now and then spends a coffee, to be something like a £5 a month, or a $3, $5 a month Patreon, $10 a month goes a long way. If there was 500 to 1,000 bladers that just did $3 to $5 a month, then this is permanent content. People have jobs, and not only does it do that, it enriches the industry. Think about how much skates cost. Think about how much wheels cost. Do you find this kind of content as important as well? I think it is important and vital for the existence of our culture. So if you can find it in your heart and find it in your care for the future and growth of the industry, you need to support pages that produce the content that you like, produce the content that is helpful. And I think it goes a long way. Guys, come on. I mean, the video's got a lot of views on it, and it's just important. So, like I said, after this, I'm gonna sign up for your page outside on my personal, and I think that stuff's important, because I think it would be a shame if we lost you. I'm sure there are some that have some of the beef against you that would be happy to see you go, but I don't think that's the majority of us. And hopefully they come around as well in the future as well. But that's my little sales pitch, and I think it's important to support the things that you like and will enrich the future of the culture that you care about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for those very kind words. Yeah, it'd be amazing. Any kind of support goes a long way, and it does make a difference. And like I want to so much continue to do this, because there's still loads more videos on that pad that I want to get around to, and loads more things I want to explore. And I think if I wasn't doing it all the time, I'd also lose momentum. So it means like the videos, YouTube's just going to be like, this bloke only posts every once a month, and like it's going to become even less worth my time. This is not meant to be like me getting my violin out or sad. I know that's just the reality of the situation. I did have a mad idea though. Remember World Rolling Series? If we could somehow have a crowdfunder and raise, like, I don't know, if we get 10,000 people to put in £1, you'd have a £10,000 prize pot. Then you get all the top skaters. Do you want to win £10,000? Make a 2-minute edit, and we'd get and put them all on the internet the same day or over a week. You get loads of attention to rollerblading. Somebody would get £10,000. We'd get 10 edits in a week or whatever it is, 15 edits of the best skating going, and it'd be a jamboree. But I just need to set up the crowdfunder, and would people go for that? I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid idea.
No, yeah. I don't think it's a stupid idea. I actually think that blading during the 90s and then like in the early 2000s, like, oh, what is it that's going to bring blading back? And even the idea of bringing blading back is like a very something that maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. But
Mm.
what I do think would be helpful for blading is to have someone taking the charge on a lot of these creative ideas that like end up being content, because at the end of the day, skate or not, people who do or don't end up spending time looking at their phone, swiping through content-based apps, Instagram, and all these other things, YouTube. And to have, there are times I'm at John's place, Bolino's, and I'm like, oh, is there a new Tom Moyse? Watch the new Tom Moyse. I'll walk in sometimes, Bolino's watching Jump Street, or we'll see like other things, Brandon and stuff. And then, but there's only so much, like, and then even with like the content of work in blading, like the sections, there's still a whole lot, but I just think it's important to keep adding to that and find those things. So if those ideas, those like, I really thought the Winter Clash idea during COVID was creative, like to have people get involved and go out and film things that were just like, some of them were like hard tricks and some of them were little interesting challenges. Or I just think those creative ideas and what you mentioned, more things like that will actually be way more beneficial for like the vitality of our culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Winter Clash thing was amazing. I don't know how much work that was. It was probably a lot of work. It'd be really great to see that like in the summer.
Yeah.
Like 6 months after Winter Clash, you have like the summer version, which is just online, or just anything similar to that would be good.
Love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always said that there's like ways for skaters to make money and stuff too in skating. You kind of have to do it yourself. I guess crowdfunding is a lot of where it comes from too. I mean, when you think about it, like Patreon is pretty much a crowdfunding too. And for younger skaters out there who are maybe like, you're making enough kind of to like live on now, and I don't know how old you are, but you're not like an up and comer teenager or a 20-year-old or something like that. Like, imagine how sustainable it could be to be a skater on the up and up when you're like 20 years old, who may not need that much money, like who's still living at home with their parents. They could produce this content, make more money than they would if they were like relying on sponsors as being a pro skater, and getting skating out there more. And they're younger too, so they're relating to the youth more, maybe growing that crowd a little more. I think our type of content, since we are older, maybe we draw the attention of naturally like the older skaters, the 30s and 40s, but if you are 15, 16, 18, 20, 25, you're going to draw that crowd instead, and that'll help grow the youth also. And if there's money involved, obviously that's more motivating too. I like that crowdfunding idea too, though, like that, have a contest, have like a GoFundMe type of thing, put up a few bucks and see what happens, because nobody really, you don't get the money unless the crowdfunding hits that goal. So no one has anything to lose. It's kind of like a pre-order for a contest, So that's like definitely doable and sustainable if that happened. If, like you said, everyone puts in $1 or a pound or whatever it is, you get a few thousand people to do that. If there's even a $2,000, $3,000 pot, like that's huge, and people will skate and bust their ass for that money too. Like, it is a contest.
Yeah, and if you've got like, you could also bring the brands in, the big brands in as well. You could be like, look, we've got this money, this many people, this many skaters have signed up to be a part of this. Like the Kelsos have signed up, Eugen signed up, Darster's signed up, like Bellino's signed up. They're going to put out an edit. Do you want to put a little bit of money into it as well? Because a lot of people are going to watch this video to see who's going to win. So they get a little bit of, the person who's organising it gets a little bit of money as well from the sponsors, and they get their name plastered all over these videos. And people are going to be going to these videos all the time to watch them. And like, you've just got to work out like the voting system and whose channel it gets uploaded to, etc., etc.
Yeah, with like live streaming and stuff too, that'd be cool to kind of like debut all the videos or sections, whatever, together as like a huge, massive watch party that everybody can partake in. And then, yeah, like you said, the voting aspect of it would have to be figured out, I guess. But just that whole, people will be definitely hyped on that. It reminds me of the Winter Clash thing as well, which I know was a ton of work. But as long as you don't have people up for 3-4 days straight, 24 hours a day, I think it's more manageable,
Yeah. There's ways. There's things to stay positive about.
Yeah.
Okay, I think now a couple of things. One, we should bring it to, and by the way, once again, thank you for taking the time to go through all of these questions and thoughts. I think we should open it up for questions because I know we have some Patreon questions and we have some questions here. We don't want to keep you for too long, but before we do, would you just mind leaving and coming back again? I'm sorry, the delay is still pretty rough.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I'm so.
It gets worse progressively. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now that I'm gonna have to re-edit it anyway, I could fix it in post, but it definitely helps with the. And I think your delay is different than my delay, which is even more confusing now because I see you talk, like respond back to him, and I'm like, how did you even know he was done talking yet? Like, so I think that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens here.
Oh, no,
I feel bad for you
I'm
having to do
gutted,
that.
like
Welcome back.
for you guys that it's been so jerky and stuff like that, but also it's really good that there's not lots of people in
I'll
the
fix
chat
it.
going to ask me loads of awkward questions.
Oh, we do have all those questions, but
Earlier I asked too when I realized that the stream wasn't going. I was like, if anybody while you're here wants to say something, ask a question, ask it now before everyone leaves. By the way, shout out to the 34 people who are still in the chat. There's just
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing.
They're just
looking
having fun, just having a conversation. So shout out. You guys are the real heroes. You guys and girls are the real heroes. We love you all. Before we
There's
get
probably a UK watch party open chat. Bunch of the lads around with the tinnies out here to support the homie.
It's all the people that hate me just waiting for me to say something stupid to get riled up and that ticket over to the UK to batter me.
Don't you love it that like the people who hate still consume the content, and it's like, if you really hate it that much, why would you waste your time consuming the content? Why would you click on something you know you don't like or doesn't interest you? That just shows that you love to hate, you know?
Yeah, I definitely I benefit from these hate watchers. It's so weird. Like people actually like I see the same people and I'm just like, why are you here again? What's wrong with you? You sicko.
They're paying your bills though, so it works out.
Yeah, too right. Fucking cheeky bastards.
We're gonna get into these questions. There is one thing I wanted to talk about with you. I wanted to see if you could have some fun while being possibly controversial. Who knows? We'll see what happens from it. It's not like that. Don't give me that face. But you just did a forecast video where you predicted that cab drivers were coming back this year, and I was curious if how you thought about other tricks. Maybe not forecasted for this year, but in general, what's going on with them? Because there are tricks that, you know, had disappeared over the years or just never became that popular. And what do you think, if any, they will come back? Tabernacles or versus sidewalks? Do you see any of those coming back? And if you do, in what context or when they would come back? Or is skating even ready for tabernacles and sidewalks to come back?
Oh, I don't know. I did see Jeff Phillips just did like a true spin topside tea kettle, and it was so good. I think it's new footage, and I think Orange are on a tour. I'm sure it was posted, and that was amazing. And that's a pretty like borderline illegal trick, but it's just about your conviction. If you can imagine doing a fakey 360 sidewalk. No, I don't think you can argue with that. Like that's bonkers. Like that's the only way it's coming back. Imagine doing a disaster fakey 360 sidewalk down a kink rail.
And I also think it matters like who does it. You know, like I've seen good tabernacles before, and when I was a kid, I thought sidewalk was the most stylish trick you could do. When I first saw it, I was like, that is the coolest looking thing because it like broke the mold of what I thought could be done on skates. I don't know, but obviously that went to the opposite. But you know, I just think it's it's just like, it's like the cab driver, when obviously when Vinny or someone's doing it, it's like very obvious that it's good, and then
Yeah.
it goes away for a while because they have all these faults. But then Colin's doing. I feel like when Colin does something, he's got his way up to this status that it's he makes a point to do everything legit. So when he does it, it's kind of he put his stamp of this can be done legit, and it kind of makes it real. Like I think he's actually put himself in that position at this point.
Yeah, it's the conviction. If you do it with conviction, you like get it to a point where like, everything is crisp, and then you reveal it to the world. People just buy it straight away. And yeah, names like if somebody like Colin Kelso is doing it, you're instantly sold on it because he is such a big figure out there. I think we're going to move into like just accepting there is this totally weird side of rollerblading. Like I'm not necessarily into all like totally like weird tricks, but maybe we just accept that exists, and it can exist, and it can like bring in a few people who want to do sidewalks. They might, like you did as a kid, be like, that actually looks sick. Maybe we're completely wrong, and that's why like nobody, like there's less uptake because we're not doing all those weird things that like, there's a whole group of kids out there who just want to be weird on rollerblades, but they're not seeing it, so they don't think they can do it. So yeah, if anybody wants to get into it, do it, and do it with pride.
I think that you're right about a lot of that. And I think that if you saw a clip on Instagram, you swipe it around, you see a clip of somebody doing like a true spin topside sidewalk on a rail, you'd be like, what the fuck? That was crazy. Whether it looks good or not, like the fact that you pulled that off is still impressive enough that people will be like, wow, that is awesome. And I think it was, I don't remember what video, if it was like suitable material, maybe like fast shoes or something, but Josh Petty, I believe on the NIST death rail, did like an acid sidewalk thingy. I don't know if anybody remembers that. He had like a pouch hanging on the side of his pants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It looked really good. I mean, Josh did a lot of, everything he did was sick, but it looked really fucking good. And somebody could still make that look good and pull that off today, which is a variation of a sidewalk. And I'd be interested to see like more people, like you say, take those risks and kind of dive into the weirder tricks, because there are ways, and especially there are people out there to make these tricks look that good and really impress people, whether it's a sidewalk or not.
Yeah, give Josh Petty a ring. What's he up to? I don't know if he's the best at rollerblading, but we'll see if he can do that trick you were talking about. Bring back Petty. That's my prediction. Petty's
okay, I think
Petty's winning Sotty.
Sorry, oh shit, that'd be some shit.
I think we're good to move on to some of these questions.
Yeah, let's see what we got going on here. Like we say every episode, if you are part of our Patreon, you get first crack on questions that we will ask our guests. There's a few in here. I think some of them are repeats, but we will try to get through as many of these as possible. First one from Peter Toth, who asks, Dave McNamara called you out for a game of skate. How do you feel about it? Is there even a beef or deep hatred between them, or just plain competition?
How do I feel about the game of skate? Right, so McNamara's ego is out of control. Like he reckons his skating is a good enough replacement for the bowl contest. Like it's the best bowl contest in skating. Like it's unbelievable. And he was just like, oh no, yeah, come and play a game of skate with me. No, that's a stupid idea. Like his ego is out of control to think that's like a good replacement. Also, he was like, what did he say? He was like, the loser has to skate in their boxer shorts. Sorry, what were the other options? Like a wet willy or a wedgie? No, man, grow up. Nobody wants to see you skating. And he copies stuff from my videos, so I don't want him copying my skating either. But the beef is like, no, it's not. There's nothing. There's no beef really. I just think he's a wally sometimes. And he lied about me recently. Right, let's get into this. I wasn't going to talk about it. Let's get into it. He said that I said Bobby's skates weren't going to sell. I never said that. I said they were like ugly probably. But the thing is though, one of the biggest brands, and I'm not going to say who they are, one of the biggest brands didn't even order his pro skate. And he was saying that Bobby's playing the game well. And I was like, how can he be playing the game well if one of the biggest online retailers of rollerblade stuff doesn't order your pro skate, that's not playing the game well. So Dave can shut up.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, okay. I feel, I feel like at some point we probably have to have Dave come on the show. But
Next week, stay tuned. We're gonna have Dave on the show.
so to be fair, not interested in the game of skate.
Yeah.
No. We can have a game of like who makes the best video.
Fair enough. Who gets the most views?
Yeah.
That would be a different way to go about it.
Well, that's your field. That's your field, like you said.
That is true. Let's get some more Patreon questions before we go into the live ones. Easy one. Soul Grinds Coffee. Shout out Soul Grinds Coffee. How do you like your coffee?
Oh man, coffee sends me absolutely mental, so I have to decaf.
Just decaf.
Yeah.
All right, Soul Grinds. We'll get Tom a decaf ready at the next Blading Cup if he shows up. We'll do one more Patreon question from Duncan McCockiner. I don't know, something like that. It's something like that. Sorry, Duncan.
I meant to compliment you at the beginning of the show for Raul Castillo.
Raul Castillo.
I was like, okay, all right, Austin, he's doing his thing.
Okay, Duncan M. If you had to shave one thing, would you keep the beard or the mustache?
I'd shave my eyebrows. The beard and stash are staying. Imagine how insane.
That's a good look right there.
They're quite big as well. They're quite thick, so they'd be noticeable if they went missing.
Yeah.
That's like me too. My eyebrows are half my face. I can't lose them. We had some super chats. Am I correct?
Yeah. So we're done with the Patreon?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of our super chats is from 17BKS. They say, Tom, what do you love most about Rossies?
They've got an amazing history, like incredible history of skaters. Like my first video was that Team Rossies video that set me off on the path. Like how many incredibly iconic skaters have come through Rossies? Rennie Hallgreen, Julio, Arlo, Don Everett, and then skip forward a bit to like Ollie Shaw and all that generation, like Face the Music. Like that was like a pivotal video in rollerblading. Like, and the fact they've been here for this long, like they're a really important brand. And I just sometimes they do things that disappoint me a little bit. Like it's like they're such a big component of rollerblading, but I just sometimes think they just do really silly things. I'm just like, oh, why have you done that? Like, I don't want to like make jokes about you all the time, but you just feed me these jokes. I just wish, like, I pray that like they release loads of good stuff so I can be like, oh, I love Rossies, and everybody thinks, oh, he's changed his tune. But I like as soon as they do anything good, I'm on there. It's like it was funny when people were like, oh, you hate Rossies or whatever. I don't hate them at all. Like at the time, I'd done more reaction videos about Rossies, like promoting their edits, than I think anybody else in rollerblading in the content like sphere at the time. And I was just like, you've just got to don't look at my content like individually or little moments. Look at it as a broader picture. Whenever they do something good, I give them their flowers, and they're super important. So I hope they just continue to make the right decisions and stuff like
that. Yeah, again, I think it's important for criticism to be allowed and encouraged in skating, just so we can get the best out of everything. You know, I think it's okay. So yeah, moving on. We have Dave Payne, the Dave Payne. Thank you for your question, Dave. Okay, Billy. Ask him who his influences are in the creative space, in and out of skating. Good question.
Yeah, happy birthday, Dave Payne. What a legend. Outside, so I watch a lot of, there's a guy called Patrick CC. He does really good videos. Who else is there? There's a guy called Trap Law Ross, who does like rap documentaries. I watch a lot of his stuff. He's really good. For a while, I was watching Stora, who were like the parkour people. I was mostly watching them to like find skate spots because they live in the UK and they skate. I mean, they skate. They do parkour on kind of similar places. Who else? Like I love comedians like Bill Burr. Who else is there? Theo Von. Watch a lot of Theo Von. Yeah, I think that's.
You watch Kill Tony at all?
Who? Sorry.
Do you watch Kill Tony at all?
No, I've not even heard of it.
It's like it's like the world's biggest live podcast, but they have people who aren't comedians or amateur comedians or who have never done comedy. They put their hat in a bucket, they get their name pulled, and they go up on stage and do 60 seconds of stand up, and they're getting judged by, you know, top comedians and also whatever guests they have on the show. And it ends up being like a kind of like a very small roasts, but it's pretty good.
Entertaining as hell. You got to watch that. If you're into like comedy stuff, really good. And you could take inspiration from that for sure for doing your show.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, let me get on to some more of these questions. We'll take like 2 or 3 more? Take 2 or 3 more.
Yeah.
I like this one. Yo-Yo says, if you had any guests on your show, who would you want to have? That's a very interesting question.
Who would people like me to interview the most? I know there's a name in my head who I think would be unreal, but I think it would turn into carnage. Well, it could. I don't know that he has the temperament to have a conversation, but it might be good for everyone. It might be cathartic. We might repair what relationship we have. Who would? I would really like to.
Who would that be?
Oh, like if I did an interview with Bobby, it'd be insane, wouldn't it?
That'd be sick.
And do you know what? I think, even though I just think he's a silly Billy, but I bet you there's things we have in common. I bet you there's like things that like the way he views skating is the same that I view skating, because he's obviously very passionate about it. He wants it to succeed, you know. He wants to appeal to like a younger generation as well. So I bet we do have similarities, but he's just a silly sausage sometimes. But I don't hate him.
What? Yeah, I would love to see that, and I think that's just good for content anyway. So that would be really cool. And clearly, he has a standard to his skating. It's very he has a high. So I'm sure there's going to be some parallels on what you guys can see eye to eye on, at least on some of the basic grounds. But
I just wanted to say real quick, Billy, before you continue the next question, when he said, or when Yo-Yo said, who would you want to have on your show? I didn't even think about like an interview style. I was thinking like, if you did have somebody else featured on your show, would they be like somebody you bounce back and forth with to do what you do anyway? Would it be like a co-host type of thing, not as much like an interview? Does that change what your answer would be?
Oh, right. Yeah, it'd be really cool to do like, I mean, I hate to reference skateboarding, but they've done loads of stuff before, like the 9 Club, but better. Like, it'd be cool to sit down with, like, I'd love to sit down with John Bellino and just chat to him about some stories. I bet he's got some bonkers stories, and then we could watch just like a load of news and get his thoughts on things. But I think some people might not want to come on a video with me because they don't want to be sitting next to me in case I say something that's like a bit borderline controversial, and they might not want to be associated with me saying that. But I think that's probably one of the best ways to have those kind of conversations, or breach those things, or be critical, because you can have another person there who goes, well, actually, I don't see it like that. I think this is good that this is happening, etc., etc. But yeah, it'd be cool to have Bellino there. That'd be really interesting. That'd be a funny story, I reckon. Or even just like, we could set up like a regular thing and go through some news stuff. I don't know. Yeah, Bellino though.
I like that. That's cool. Speaking of, this would be a good. This will actually be a good segue into the next question. Speaking of doing some news and stuff, But we'll take this as our last one too, because I see a lot of repeat questions and topics we already touched on. So, and I think this is a good one to end it on. Chris Crowder says, "Will we ever see a collaboration between Tom, Biz, and Brandon, like a Sports Center vibe? That would be dope. Thanks for making great, hilarious content for our community."
Yeah, maybe. If it like the right thing comes up, I don't think we should rush to do it, and I don't think we should force it. I think there's probably an opportunity to do something good. Maybe it is like live commentary at an event or something like that, or maybe it's like a Winter Clash situation or something like that. I had an idea actually for Winter Clash. I don't know if I should just send this to Jojo or what, but like I know we have like an awards ceremony and stuff, and it's like end of the year, but why don't we just delay the awards, or like somebody makes up a new awards, or even Winter Clash makes up their own awards, and have at their 20th anniversary one, have like an award ceremony live, so people can actually come up and get their awards and stuff like that, and like, you know, like other skaters can present the skaters and stuff like that. It'd be amazing. And like you could even have it so the attendees at the time vote for those awards, like on entry, or like on entry you fill out a form to be like, what was the best edit of the year, who's the best skater, da 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 da. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
I love that.
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, like a real in-person version of like the online things, whatever. I've always thought too that people who do win awards, like it'd be nice to not just have a screenshot of like your Skater of the Year award, you know, like having a tangible trophy or plaque or medal or something like that would be cool too. So yeah, Winter Clash, I didn't even think about that, but Winter Clash would be a perfect platform for that. And it's the largest event, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So most likely a lot of the top people will already be in attendance. Or if there are nominees prior to Winter Clash, they would be more inclined to make it out there and have a lot more of these names actually in attendance, which would be really cool. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. Pitch that to Yo-Yo.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Hopefully he's watching. You can just have it.
Oh,
Or you could just DM him. He's a very friendly guy.
Oh yeah, I've talked to him a few times.
I got a random idea. I like that idea, and I like the random idea about like keeping on the trying to find some way with the summer Winter Clash app thing. I think that's really cool too. That'd be cool. There's been some good ideas on this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe we could change the game if we do this, us three, we'll do it quarterly, let's say, and we'll change skating within the next 3 years. That'll be a 3-year plan.
Yeah. Oh shit! Somebody's got to work out a better internet connection though, because we can't be doing this every like month.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I don't know if it's.
I mean, there's an entire ocean between us. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
The wires going under the water don't work out. The sharks and whales are nibbling at the cables, which is fucking up our connection. But we're still managing to make this happen, and it's still been awesome. Billy, were there any more questions? I don't know if you said that was the last one or not.
No, I think that was the good one to end it on. Honestly, there were a lot of questions surrounding Dave and Tom and a game of skate and stuff like that, and also if he wants to play the Montgomery Monsters and skate and stuff like that. But I think that was a good one to end it on. Tom, I gotta say, like I'm a big fan of your stuff, man. Like I say, I come to John's, like if there's a new one, I'm like, oh, throw the new one on. I really like some of the issues you tackled, and I would do whatever I can to encourage you to continue to do so. I like when you tackle the issues outside of skating. I like the one where you like kind of addressed the skateboarding thing, and it had a huge blow up on your page and stuff like that. I just think things like that are fun, important, talking about the elephant in the room, talking about the things that people will talk about in groups of 3 or 5 skating, to like what they find their standards to be and what's acceptable, and ideas on style, ideas on approach. And I just really appreciate that you have the courage to talk about it, and you have the talent to do it in such an articulate and humorous way. I just find it to be very important. So I would encourage anyone who loves rollerblading to support your work. And so I would just want to say thank you for that. Do you have any shout outs, parting words, words of wisdom, piece of advice for anyone who might be listening or watching right now?
Thank you for that very kind little summary there. That means the world to me. Like I really appreciate that people find value in what I do, Yeah, just like if you're thinking about doing the videos, like, or doing anything in rollerblading, just give it a go. Like, go back and look at my first videos. Honestly, they're absolutely terrible. They're awful. Like, but now I've somehow got to the position where like I'm on the Jump Shoot podcast and stuff like that, or like Brian Sheemer knows who I am and stuff like that. I was like, that's insane. Like, if I told my 14-year-old self that like Julio was actually going to buy a Spotty Dog T-shirt, I'd have been like, "What are you talking about?" But he did. I don't know if that's a data breach. Am I allowed to say stuff like that? But anyway, like, yeah, if you're thinking about it, get into it. There's loads of like avenues to get into the videos. There's loads of like stuff people aren't covering. Take my videos, just completely rip them off, but do them in a slightly different way, and then get a shoe in, get a few like followers and stuff like that. There's just so many ways to do it, and if you've got the time, like, just give it a try. Sorry, is that shit advice? That's the best I could come up with on the spot.
I think that was pretty good. There's one thing I do want to say or talk about, if you guys don't mind, before we take off, because I forgot to mention this before. But I was looking at your videos, Tom, on your YouTube channel, and you have multiple videos that have like 100,000, 200,000 views, 50, 60,000 views, which is show the flex for everybody. But what does that mean about what skaters consume? Because you said a lot of people who watch your videos aren't actual skaters, but like, does that mean that people rather be entertained this way than watch like a banging skate section? Because I also just went on, like, just for example, I try to think of off the top of my head some of like the most popular edits of the last few years, whatever. Like Basement, I just typed in Julian Coudeau, a really big name, and nobody has numbers even close to that as far as like skating edits go. And I'm trying to think, like, do people prefer just to be entertained like this rather than watch good skating? Like, what is going on? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Like, it's like, I almost feel like a little bit embarrassed that my videos can like often, or like I have a collection of videos, like you say, that have like done better than the biggest edit that year. Like this year, I think I can't remember if I had one that was like 200,000 or something. I think people are interested in like stories and the culture. Like, edits are really important for us, especially within rollerblading, but maybe not so much outside of it. They might come across it like, if you're already into like skateboarding or BMXing, you might watch it to see spots, or like you're just interested. But outside of that, people probably aren't going to click into it. But if there's a story there, that's where people are going to. People are going to YouTube to like hear stories and find out about things. If you look across like the YouTube landscape, like, people are diving into all sorts of different culture. There's videos about like, even like if you look at Jimmy the Giant, look at what videos he does, and like that's blown up for him, like just picking off little bits everywhere. All it is storytelling, and good storytelling. And like, it doesn't matter that I was speaking about rollerblading. Something in that video has kept people there for the algorithm to go, oh, like, this is a good video, let's push it out to a few more people. And like, this is what I mean. This is why I was so desperate to make these videos about the culture, because there is so much, like, there is so many stories there. Like, rollerblading was in the like shadows. It probably still is in the shadows for a lot of people since like, I don't know, since like the 2000s or whatever, or mid 2000s. So there's so much stuff people just don't know about. Let's dive into. Let's like educate people. You just got to do it in a clever way, like little bit of humor, good research, sort of good editing. Like, I think the editing on my videos is trash, but it somehow works.
Yeah, I just think about it's what's digestible, and doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is what they say is the definition of insanity. And to continue to put out like, just very targeted skate edits for like the skater specifically, like just skating over and over again, and thinking that's going to draw more interest is, I don't even think, true for the skater, much less the outside point of view. I think it's more interesting for even the skater sometimes to see the stories and to hear those humorous takes and those perspectives, and it just adds more to the culture. So again, that's why I think you do a great job with that, and I think we just need more of it. So Yeah, that was a good last point to bring up there, Austin. Good job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
my bad. It's a little bit
Okay, man.
delayed,
No,
but
that was good. Yeah.
with whatever's going on with the live stream, it was okay to pull that off. But Tom, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. You're the man. Hopefully
Thank you.
we could do this again sometime as well. Maybe with a more successful live stream, but I feel like there's still so much more to talk about, and we could just go on forever with you. So thank you so much,
Oh, yeah.
everybody in the live
Really
chat. Shout out to the
rambling.
20-something of you who are still there. No, it's all good. Shout out to the 20 whatever people who are still in the live chat, still chatting away. But we're gonna upload this in a couple hours. But Tom, you're the man. Thanks.
Amazing,
We'll see
man.
you all
Thank
on
you
the next
so
one.
much.
Peace.
Really appreciate it.
Spotty dog.